Guidance,
Yep.
medical intuitive, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, so some people call it medical intuitive.
Yeah.
So medical intuitive basically just helps you to see what medical conditions you got, but on an intuitive level, whether they relate to other people or, which I usually do.
Usually do. Facebook looks different tonight, John.
It does. Everything looks different
It's just
tonight.
thrown
It's
me.
just like, yeah, this mirrorverse.
The Mirrorverse.
Yeah,
Welcome
so-
to the Mirrorverse, everyone.
Welcome to the upside down world.
Upside down, back to
upside
front.
down, inside out. You know,
Just
so-
flip it. Flip it.
Flip it. That's
Flip
a new one. Yes. So, yeah, guys, if you've got any questions about medical intuitive, so that just helps you to, we use our intuition with
Yeah.
your intuition to find most of our conditions medically. We find that anything up to 90% of them have to do with other people, our relationships with other people, our interactions with other people, especially the ones closer to us. So, you know, as above, so below, they say. So, and as within, so without. This is a common saying in many, many different spiritual traditions. And so, if you want to fix things on the outside and you want them to stay fixed and you want them to last and be really good, then you got to find it on the inside. And it's usually symbolic. So, this is why we have a lot of our tools and we basically share with people our insight into what they reflect. So, hi, Christopher.
Hey, Christopher. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. Everyone else out there. So yeah, if you've got any questions, be a little bit detailed with your questions.
Yeah.
Give us some specifics. Say it how it frustrates you. you
Yeah.
know? So one of the things that the only thing we've ever got to fix is only one thing to fix, and that's our point of view, the way we see things. It's like the universe, God, infinite intelligence, as I like to call it. It's got everything under control, and when things aren't working for us, it's because we're not seeing it from that point of view. We're not seeing it from the oneness point of view. We're seeing it from what we call duality. So duality is about right and wrong, good and bad, and whereas oneness is about everything just is, the circle of life, if you want to call it that, Hakuna Matata.
A lot like nature. A lot like nature, John.
A lot like nature and the universe.
Yeah.
So anything that's going on inside, and when I say inside, I usually go inside your aura, inside your life, inside your body. That's a reflection. So whatever annoys you in the outside world, or the things that are really getting your goat, so to speak, they're going on inside of you as well, symbolically. So if anger is if you see anger or vengeful people, you've got to look where your vengeance or anger is inside of you.
Yeah.
And then if you correct it, you don't correct it, sorry. If you can identify it, if you can identify it and bring it to the oneness, bring it to that vision and ask for it to be healed, ask for yourself, if the negative emotions are the things that keep us away from everything. Doesn't mean that you won't have negative things won't happen.
No.
But when negative things happen, if you haven't got the negative emotions in you, they don't bother you.
Yeah.
You just, just like, wow,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
That's the feeling you get from it. So if you haven't corrected it inside yourself, so if you get jealous of anyone and if you get annoyed at people the way they run their business and you're trying to start your own business, well, it's never really going to work, even if it works. And you can, and guys, let me just state that you can, all of this doesn't have to apply. There's many people that on a level of competition will use their willpower and will make everything work anyway, but they're never going to be truly happy inside. They're from the core. No matter how successful they are, if they're in competition, there's always going to be this little level of fear. Whereas if you create it from the inside out, and you create it from making it inside you, making yourself wealthy inside in your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, making yourself happy in your thoughts, feelings and emotions, then the outside can't take it away. And you won't when it's happening, you won't function from fear.
Yeah, and if you're identifying that you've got negative emotions around particular things, whether it's money or relationships or work or whatever you find it is, a good place to start can be to get into a habit of doing congratulations, right?
Yes. Yeah,
and when you see these things, and it might not feel genuine at first, right?
No, it takes a little while.
It takes a little while to sort of build that genuineness up. And if you're not feeling the genuineness, then you just ask, okay, God, show me. I really want to be genuine about this. Congratulations.
Congratulate other people that have what you've got.
Yeah.
And whether you think they got them, get away from the judgment of whether you think they got it from competition or they got it from oneness.
Yeah.
If they got it from competition, maybe they did.
Yeah.
So if you see someone that's wealthy and wealth is one of your things you want, you got to say congratulations. Maybe they got it from, but that's none of my business. I've genuinely got to congratulate them and wish them to have more of what they want, what they've got, for me to get it, because what we want for ourselves, we want for everyone else, and what we want for everyone else, we want for ourselves. So it's a really easy way to deal with this. But it's quite challenging because you've got to face everything. You've got to face all your emotions. So if you got envy, and especially envy and judgment and stuff like that, they're all in the negative vibration. They're all in the duality world. They live below the 200 hertz reference. And so above 200 hertz, we start with courage, and we go up from there. Courage, faith, love, peace, joy, inspiration. These are all above 200 hertz or 200 on the scale.
So maybe tonight, a good place to start would be, what do you envy yourself?
Yeah.
Right? What do you feel you judge, on the outside?
And so the positive part of this, the positive part of the envy, if you see what you're envious of, that's actually your soul, your spirit, your God self trying to tell you that that's a possibility for you, and that's what you can have. That's your destiny, not your fate. Fate and destiny are two different things. Fate is what we will live, no matter what, unless we choose destiny. Destiny is our highest calling, our infinite possibilities, our potentials. So, but we have to choose that, and we have to invite that in. And we have to choose it by inviting out all the negative emotions and negative feelings. And so when we catch ourselves, so we don't judge ourselves for having these negative emotions. No. Don't judge yourself of it. Go, oh, wow, there's envy. How do I get rid of that? Show me. You can ask internally, ask God in the heart, ask whatever you want, but ask for help. Say, how do I get rid of this negative emotion?
Yeah, so, and that's another important thing, Like I going back a little while now, I'd start saying, God inside, right, and not seeing God as outside of me or as separate to me. Yeah,
So macrocosm, microcosm. To find God, you've got to find it in here. That God in here is connected to the God out there. But you won't find it outside yourself, or you won't find it in a lasting positive way outside yourself. Many people will find it outside themselves. But it won't grow and it won't flourish into real enlightenment, if you want to call it that. Yeah. So I don't know if we've got any questions yet.
Nothing hellos.
Hello, hi guys. Hi everyone. So yeah, if you want to work with this, so you've got thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and they all talk to our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is just like a computer. It doesn't have any self-governing thing. It just takes in everything. So if we get frustration, if you get this feeling of frustration or this annoyance in your emotion, that creates a story in the subconscious. And that blocks what you're trying to get consciously. Yeah. So don't judge these things. Catch them and go, oh, wow, there's a frustration. There's a jealousy. There's an envy. Catch that and say, okay, show me how to change this. Put your hand on your heart if you like and say, okay, whatever that envy is, I'm obviously envy of these people. And if I want it for me, I've got to want it for everyone else. Otherwise, if I do it the other way through competition, it's never going to last. It's never going to be full. I've seen plenty of people who do all this stuff out of pure competition, but there's always a core of fear there. And
you can think of your subconscious kind of like Siri, right? You could ask Siri, what is money, right? And Siri will just be programmed to give you one response. It doesn't matter how many times you ask the same question, Siri's just going to keep giving you the same answer and the same answer and the same answer, right? So you're going to well, how the fuck do I change Siri, right? How the fuck do I change my subconscious mind? And that's through repetitive reprogramming, so that, what is money, for example, you start to redefine what that is within you and how you see that and congratulate it outside of you, so that automatic response to what is money starts to change, over time and over time.
So your wealth has to be internal, first of all. Your thoughts have to be wealthy. Your feelings have to be wealthy. Your emotions have to be wealthy. They all have to be healthy. So this way, then it will magnify and it'll come back to you. This is the pure, real law of attraction. If you can get it inside, it will come outside, and it won't. It's not that it can't be taken away on the outside. It can be taken away, but you won't care. You'll have no concern for it whatsoever because you just created it inside again, and it'll come back to you. And once you've created it inside, you really don't care about it too much on the outside. It actually comes to you like, oh, whatever.
It comes to you when you stop wanting it, right?
Yeah, we all know this. When you don't need the money, it comes to you. When you don't need all the things, or when you ask for it for a while,
it fucking turns up in abundance.
It just avalanches in. So Therese from New Zealand. We need a little bit more specific. You're asking about guidance with your health and family. What particular parts of your health and what particular parts of your family? What's the problem there?
What do you think's wrong?
How do you see it? What do you see the problem as? Tell us what the problem is in your words, how you describe it. And
so Angela's back to one of her problems is not having opportunity for a holiday for the last 22 years.
So
22.
You're not having so a lot of that sounds like what we call filters. We call them filters. This is when we say we haven't, there's in your emotions. It's like in the background, the emotions are there going on, running on invisibly almost for most people because they're so blocked out. Like we start with our thoughts, we go to our feelings in the heart, then we go down to our emotions. Most people are so busy with thoughts, they can't feel their feelings. And if they can feel their feelings, their emotions, by the time they're in middle age, they're just blocked out completely. So, but they're still running and they're still yelling and screaming there in the background. Yeah. And so you've got to just start to go, what if, It sounds like, is that Angela?
Angela, yeah.
Angela, you've got so many emotions and feelings in there that are just programs from the past going, I don't have this, I can't have that, I don't have this. So you've got to just start with what ifs. This is the big turning point for all the emotions and feelings. What if I've been blocking that? What if there's opportunities for what if? And that's going to open up these filters. That's going to, melt the filters, so to speak. And then you say, what if there is opportunities for holidays? What if I've been missing it? What if I let go of things? A big what if, but what if on the positive side? What if I could actually just change this? Bringing everything back in internally. So it just feels like, Angela, there's a shitload of emotions there that are stopping it, and probably from very good, reasonable life circumstances over the years. There's no doubt that they're probably really backed up by a lot of evidence. But fear, any fear, I mean, if we want to break it right down, we can just break it down to fear and faith.
Yeah.
It all comes down to fear or faith. Below in duality is where the fear lives. So fear, doubt, frustration, envy, judgments, all of that. Above 200 in the oneness world, we've got courage, trust, faith, love, acceptance, allowance, all of these things. So when we've got these emotions running in the background, and when we're so busy we can't feel our emotions, we end up just blocking them out. But they're still basically programming the subconscious. It's like you've got two programs in the computer running simultaneously. What you want, catching this is what we started the whole night with. Catching the negative emotions is how you'd stop it. What if I could let that go? Show me how to get rid of my envy. Show me how to get rid of my jealousy. Show me how to be gracious towards other people who have got what I want. Whether I see them it doesn't matter how you think they got it.
Yeah.
This is the big key here, guys. This was the key for us. We had to say congratulations to people that I thought were criminals. They got their money because they were criminals or whatever. I had to start finding a way to be genuine with that congratulations. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they did. And if they did, I'm not saying congratulations to that. I'm just saying congratulations to them because they got wealth, and I hope they get more, which will get them past any of the negative ways that they got it anyway. So we've got to want for everyone else what we want for ourselves. That's the real key to all of this stuff. And, we call this the foundations. If your foundations are not good, then all this other stuff you build on top of it, it's just going to be, you're not going to trust, you're not going to go with the faith. How are you going to trust in the universe, trust in the force, if you think it's a punishing force? If you think that the universe punishes, then you're never going to be able to trust and go fully with it. You've got to come to the realization that oneness, God, infinite intelligence is only positive, only creates good, it only creates positive growth and change. And even the negative, what we call the negative, is positive. It's evolution. When the bushfires come through, they burn off a lot of the introduced species, the native species grow back faster. I'm not talking about the super fire we had recently, but in a normal way. And so, the growth, the trees lose branches so new branches can grow. So you've got to be willing to let go of the old stuff as well. So, but seeing that nature is always working to your advantage, infinite intelligence always wants you to grow and wants you to be more. If that's not your foundation, then all the rest of this stuff is going to be really hard. It may work, but it'll be on and off, on and off.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that, Charlene. I was about to ask you, and you probably heard my thought. Charlene says, I keep having dreams that my ex-partner has taken off with my children. And she's clarified to say she meant that he has actually taken off with them, but she's dreaming about it now. So I'm guessing it's a past event of her ex-partner taking off with the children, but that she's dreaming about it at the moment. Yeah,
so the dreams are often symbolic. So the dreams, there seems to be two main reasons here that I'm picking up on. One is that it's symbolic of our inner child is like children. So this is all of our fun, creative expressions and that from our inner child, from our soul. So, and your ex represents maybe the way you used to be. If you were too much in your thoughts before and you've come more into your heart, or vice versa. If you were in your heart all the time and you got stung, so you relied on your thoughts, that's your masculine feminine aspect. And the inner child is the one that's been taken away by the past here. So it feels like you've swung on a pendulum too far. You were too feeling for a long time, and then you got stung on that. So you went to logic and you went to reason, and you went too much reason, and now the feeling and that has stole your children. And also secondary is the reason these dreams come up is for us to have healing with it, to have closure. It's like, you don't know. This is a tough one. We're both. I've got 6 children and 2 grandchildren.
I have 3.
He's got 3, and we've got to allow for, whether you believe in past lives or not, and karma and stuff like that. They've got their path, and But what you can do is change change the dynamic, your DNA, your family patterns, and that. If you break the the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The sins of the parents will be passed on to the children. If we break these habits in ourselves, no matter where our children are, if they're on the other side of the planet, they will receive the benefit from it. Somebody along the line in these family trees of, it's nurture and nature. So it's in our DNA and it's in our programming, and we have to break these patterns. Otherwise, we just pass them on. If we can ignore them and think that they're not going on, but they'll keep running in the background. I've seen some really fucking insane patterns in my family. Like, even so far as one of my sisters, when she was 5 years old, she was trying to light a cigarette on the stairs and she caught a dress on fire and burned all her stomach, had to get skin grafts off her legs. Her daughter did exactly the same thing, exactly the same way, got the same scars. Now, explain that with DNA. These are family patterns, and I can go through hundreds of them with my family, and they just blow my mind because they're supposed to be random accidents, and they come up the same. So we've got to, these patterns are for us to break. If we break the pattern, if we break the chain, then we don't pass them on to our children. So we don't always have to work directly on our children. If we work on ourselves, we work on our children.
Yeah.
And we can't decide. We can't decide what happens between them and their other partners.
Yeah.
We've got to take our hands off that. That's the hardest part, being a parent.
And this is like where we have some tools that we teach. Okay, tool number 1, which is what we call check in with your inner guru, which is essentially just checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
If it's light, it's right. So sort of touching on what John said about that dreams can be a way of your soul trying to bring up opportunity for you to heal, from that. So you can sort of just check, is that true? Does that feel light?
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity being presented to me, or opportunities being presented to me at the moment to allow me to heal from that situation?
Yeah.
If it feels light, you go, okay, cool. And then just ask to be shown, just say, okay, God, spirit, I'd say, dear God inside, if that's true, it feels like it's true. I'm willing to work with those opportunities to heal. Show me, lead me, guide me.
And that's where we're going. It's got to be genuine. You've got to believe this, right? And so, how do you believe something about a past life? It's really freaking hard because you get. How do I believe it genuinely about a past life? What I say, I don't have to believe it genuinely. All I have to do is change my wording to say, that feels light and that feels true. So if that is true, listen to those words. If that is true, then show me how to heal it and let it be healed. That way I can be 100% genuine. I don't have to be genuine in that I believe it 100%, but I genuinely want it to be healed. I genuinely want closure. I genuinely want forgiveness if that is true. And that way you get full power. You get the thoughts, feelings and emotions all back each other up, and then you get genuine change. But if you say, so I feel that that's light, so it's true that I did this in a past life, that's not genuine. You don't know that for sure. So it's got to be genuine. All this stuff, working with energy, talking spirit, it's got to be genuine. So you use the words a lot, if, and how do I, and show me. And
it feels like.
It feels like that.
And again, sorry, with all your check-ins, this is a large part of why we teach people to check in with the feeling of it, right? Because it takes a lot of guessing out of it. It takes a lot of going down rabbit holes with it and trying to figure it out. It takes away a lot of the judgments of it. You just simply ask the question, does that feel light? Is that true? Or could it be true? It's like, yeah, it could be true. I feel like it could be true, and so it opens you up to the possibility of it in a genuine way.
Yeah, and so a lot of it, and because a lot of this, once you're asked that, is that true? You're doing your part. Your part is, we do our 20%, the universe does its 80%. So our 20% is to identify the negativity, identify the fear, identify where our thoughts or feelings or emotions are 180 degrees away from the universe's. And then when we do that, then we ask, okay, if that's true, then show me how to heal it. Show me what to do. And then just let it go. Sometimes it'll happen automatically, energetically. Other times, it'll take days or weeks for little bits of evidence to pop up, and things will slowly pop up, and you go, oh, yeah, now that goes through that. So we'll go back to that one, Therese.
Oh, hang on, there's another one.
Oh, okay, so
This one, Jessica.
okay.
Hey Jessica, thanks for the comment. Hey guys, I'm feeling I need to listen to my heart and end my marriage of 10 years, but my husband is so depressed and I know this isn't the right time. When do I know when it's the right time? Will it ever be the right time? I feel I need to move on.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at stuff that we've gone through this past week. Which
you're
is
right on
sort
the
of
money there, right?
Similar.
You're right on the money. But what you need to do in these situations is, again, just what we were saying before, be willing to. Say, yes, I'm going to do it as soon as I'm guided to, and I'm going to find out what I need to fix in me. I'm going to start working on my marriage inside of me. My divine masculine, my divine feminine, and my divine child need to become holy in the heart of hearts, in the holy of holies, as a divine family. So I'm going to work on my marriage. I'm going to agree to do this, and then I'm just going to go, show me how, show me when. Deliver the right time. Sometimes it's not. If they're too far depressed and you can't do anything about it, then sometimes you got to just rip the fucking splinter out. It's like. But I generally say, just agree to do it.
Yeah.
Agree internally.
In the first instance.
In the first instance, agree to do it and say, lead me and guide me. Show me how to do it. Say this insert into the heart of hearts, into the sacred heart, if you want to call it sacred heart. The holy of holies, whatever you want to call it. It's okay, I agree, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for me, and by doing it for me, I'm doing it for everyone. We can't make other people happy, right? Trust me, I've got shitload of power, I've got a shitload of energy, and I cannot even make the weakest person happy. I can temporarily, for a very short term, but eventually I'll just make me unhappy and depressed. Sometimes pulling back and letting go is the very key that they need, but it's not your responsibility, no matter how much they blame you. This is what I consider the main problem of the world. It's like we're all trying to fix each other instead of fixing ourselves.
And taking another point of view on it, right? What if your husband being depressed is perfect for this moment, for this period of time, for you to come to this realization or this acceptance? It's sort of like the saying that we have, good luck, bad luck, you don't know the whole story, right? We don't know, right? We've lived so many lives, we don't know whether this is playing out exactly as it's supposed to be, right? He may be playing the part in his soul contract with you for you to make this choice, right? For you to then grow and for him to then grow.
So start fixing it inside yourself if you can. If not, if it's gone too far, like if you're an alcoholic, right? And you decide to stop drinking, you can't keep going to the pub. Not for a while anyway. You're going to take, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was close enough to it. Socially I was on alcohol a lot. And when I stopped, I had to go 3 months and I could not even go near the venues. But I'm a very social person. I like going out. But after 3 months, I was able to go down a bit more. 6 months later, I can go down, I can be around them and not be a problem. But, if you're a fixer, which it sounds like you are.
Yeah. She says it's so true. I'm constantly coming and going. It's killing him. I need to fix. I need to fix me, she said.
Yeah. So the way we fix anyone else is to fix ourselves and be the example. This is why that's why our subtitle is Be the Change, Do in you, find it in you. Where are you doing that? Where are you depressed? What's depressed in you? You might find your masculine, which is your heart, representative of your heart. The upper three chakras are representative of our feminine, our divine wisdom. The masculine is our power, is our heart. That's representative of that. And the lower three chakras is our divine child. So your own masculine, your own heart, which is your strength and your courage, that might be depressed in you because you haven't listened to it for so long. Most of us block our hearts when we're kids because when we're kids, little kids, we have such an open heart and we're so invincible and we say this stuff to adults, which fucking just catches them off guard so bad. And then they shut us down saying that we're bad, that we can't say that we're not wise enough. But, all the inspiration most of our inspiration comes from the mouths of babes. We listen to it all the time.
All the time.
So when it comes out of their mouth, we go, okay, thank you, God. It's like...
That's why I love having my little 5-year-old around.
Yeah,
She's like this little ninja, little Zen master.
They're just open and it just comes out so that, they're naive and that, so they're not protected in that. So unfortunately it gets blocked. But when you open your heart again now as an adult, the second coming or the what do they call it, born again, or they call it the return of the innocence. You're opening it as an adult with maturity, so you can open your heart and you can stay protected with it. It's not naive. It's mature innocence. It's a very different thing. So maybe you need to look at that depression in you, and that's you stopping and, give to the people that are, if we want to fix the world, which we shouldn't really have that point of view, but if we want the world to be a better place, then let's just start supporting all the people who are positive, and not put the other people down. Don't put haters down, as they say, Just, be positive and be neutral to them, but help the people who are being positive and let them help you. And that will be like a cancer. We'll have a cancer of positivity. There'll be a cancer of happiness and positivity and health that'll just take over the world.
Good Lord.
Let the cancer of happiness, health and wealth metastasize, So it is tough. And sometimes if it's gone too long, you just have to pull back and you just have to take the heat short term. But honestly, just say it inside yourself. Say, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know how.
Yep.
I'm shit scared.
Yep.
I don't know how to stop helping people, but I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to work out how to do it. Don't put it all on yourself to do it all straight away.
Yeah, of course.
Just agree to do it and ask for the help. Say, show me the way, lead me and guide me. Even though I'm scared, I'm going to do it anyway. So, all right.
Cool.
What else we got?
Trees. My mental health is going down. Too much stress. I can't leave my daughter and my granddaughter, 3 years old. Her mum is young. My son has moved out. Their dad passed 3 years ago, and I'm trying my best to keep my family happy, cared for.
Yeah, so you can't keep your family happy. Sorry about that. That's just a hard truth there. You can't keep anyone happy. It's hard enough keeping ourselves happy. So you've got to get off that bandwagon. You can keep them safe. You can keep a shelter over their head, but you can't keep them happy.
Yeah.
Happiness is a choice. There is nothing else. Sorry, guys, nothing else. Happiness is a choice. It's not a result. When it is a result, there is times it's a result. It's fleeting. It comes and it goes. But real happiness is a choice, and it's a choice for us to turn inwards, to come from our own strength at the center here. And secondly, is you said I can't.
Yeah.
So in the solar plexus, there's certain words that trigger off certain chakras. So I can't is a classic solar plexus, which is our self-esteem, which is the fire element in the sun. When you say I can't, you're draining that. So you have to try and turn that I can't to how can I?
Yeah.
I must be able to. How can I leave this? And you don't have to leave it physically, right?
Yeah.
You want to leave you said you can't, what is it? I can't leave?
I can't leave my daughter and granddaughter.
You have to leave them, but not physically.
But not physically.
So it's like you have to leave them to grow and go through whatever they've gone through. Learn how to step back and stay there. Learn how to step back and leave them in their negativity, leave them in their fear, but stay there temporarily.
Yeah, it's what we call sort of holding space.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like as you step back and you don't buy into it, then there's just too much for you. This is the only way you're going to get any clarity on this, because you're so involved in all their stuff, and they're just, we call it enabling. If you enable the poor me, if you enable the depression, sometimes you just got to pull back and stand back and let them curse you if they have to curse you, or whatever they need to do temporarily, and just stop buying into it and go, okay, I've just got to pull back, because you're not helping them in the long run. You're only enabling them. So if you pull back, you might help them, you might not, but you will help a lot of people.
Yeah.
You will help a whole lot of people on the whole earth, and you'll help the ones that want to help themselves, and that is what's going to make a real difference.
Yeah.
But pull back and leave them in the emotions, leave them in their thoughts and all the stresses and everything else. They're not yours. You're not stressed. You're not worried about anything. You're an infinite being. How can you be worried about anything?
Yeah.
If you weren't an infinite being, you wouldn't be sitting there putting up with all that shit. So, the reason that we put up with all this shit is anyone that's putting up with this much shit tells me how powerful they are. They're a fucking infinite being. They're a god who's forgotten they're an infinite being and a god. This is why you've got all the power in the world, but you're just using it the wrong way, and it's not having the results you want. It might have started out that way. Now it's time to reverse it. It's not working anymore. If you've got a lot of shit, if you've got a lot of stress, this tells me that you're an infinite being and you're super powerful, and you're just fucking pretending not to be. There's no other way of putting it. I had an ex one time, and she goes, "Oh, you think I'm weak? You think I'm, hopeless?" I said, No, I think you're extremely powerful. I think you're a god who's pretending not to be a god. You pretended for a while to keep certain people away from you, which might have been good. You've forgotten about it and you bought your own pretense. You're caught up in your own play for so long that you actually think that you're actually weak and that you're vulnerable.
So similarly for Sharon's saying, I've been married 17 years, can't see a way out. He's drinking every day, nasty all the time.
Yeah.
You know, similarly with the can't there, I can't see a way out.
Yeah.
You know, try to flip that round, right?
Don't see a way out.
Don't see a way out.
You know, you can't see a way out because seeing a way out is duality. It's right and wrong. So you can weigh up the pros and cons, right? Yin and yang. It just goes round and round. You can, if you're smart enough, if you're intelligent enough. I said this to my son yesterday. He's on his way moving down here at the moment, and I said you can weigh up. If you're smart enough, intelligent enough, you can weigh up the pros and cons for the rest of your life, and you'll never see a way out. Sometimes you just got to go. Okay, I just got to do this. I feel it. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, but I've got to do it because you weigh it up. It's like if he's being nasty and that, you just go, "This is not working for me anymore."
Yep.
Again, like I was saying to the other lady. Make the decision inside first.
Yep.
Turn inwards.
Turn
into your own heart and say, okay, I don't know how. I don't know, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to work it out. Help me, lead me, guide me, give me some way of doing this, right?
Yeah.
It happened to me when I better be careful who's online. It happened to me when I got divorced when I was married when I was very young. And I'd been working so well and I thought the relationship was going well for the last 3 or 4 years. And then I was sitting there and just one day we had this little tiny argument. We hadn't argued for ages. And then out of my mouth I said, oh, by the way, I played up on you. And it's like, whoa, who said that? It's like, came out of my mouth. And it was it was from 6 years before when we were teenagers and stuff. And I was like, why did I say that? It's just because the relationship wasn't going anywhere. But I'd worked on it enough and given enough effort by working on myself for that to just come out, and it, that particular day changed my life and started all this on the biggest roller coaster.
Yeah, I was married 17 years, had 3 children, had a 2-year-old, and I was the same thing, right? I was looking for a way out, left, right, and center, and I just had to make the decision. That's what I chose. That this isn't working for me anymore. But it was hard. I'm not saying this wasn't hard.
And sometimes it doesn't. Guys, the biggest part about this when you do it internally and start saying that it doesn't work for me, actually half the time the other person turns around in that moment, and you can actually save the marriage. It can save the marriage. You can't save the marriage.
Yeah. But your willingness to acknowledge your choice, right?
That action and that choice can actually save the marriage. Yeah. It gives the other person the opportunity to actually come back because we're trying to fix each other. That means we're telling each other what to do. We're bossing each other around. We can't boss each other around, even if what we're doing to ourselves is terrible. It's not. It just doesn't work.
We don't realize how much effect our energy, right, and our negative emotions are having on those people around us.
Yeah.
And so by not acknowledging that you're willing to sort of take to agree to do something, you keep that energy there, right? That negativity, say for lack of another word.
So
and whilst it's still there, the other person is feeling that, right? And so they may tend to drink, they may tend to go out and do drugs, they may tend to go away and not come back for a few days, right? But as John said, so if you acknowledge that, yes, okay, I'll make this decision, as hard as it is, as scary as it is, it's not working for me anymore, and then just see what happens.
If they're drinking and they're being nasty, most of the people don't do this to other people on purpose. It's actually a reverse, what we call mirror world or mirror universe. It's the reverse. Inside, they're being nasty to their own emotions, their own feelings. They're drinking excessively because they can't build up the courage anymore to do what they want to do because they've bought into this duality world and they're trying to fix everyone. They're trying to keep the boss happy and the government happy and everyone else happy, and they're losing their spirit too. So they run away with the drugs or alcohol. We avoid and we run away. And then we get more pissed off, and we can't follow our feelings more. So, generally speaking, and I think there's a small minority that this doesn't apply to, but the vast majority it's actually nice people who just, they're just given up. And by us stepping back and doing what we need to do, and start doing it ourselves, then that can open the door and open the opportunity for them. It may not, but that's not your choice. Your choice is whether you want to keep feeding. There's a real good story about the Native American grandfather and his grandson, and he's got his grandson on his lap, and he tells the grandson, I've got 2 wolves, and they're fighting. They're in my heart. I have these 2 wolves in my heart, and one of them is a loving, caring, benevolent wolf, and the other one is an angry, vengeful, greedy wolf. And the grandson looks up at the grandfather and says, "Grandfather, which wolf is going to win the fight?" And the grandfather looks down at the grandson and says, "Whichever one I feed." So, the only way to get rid of negativity is to starve it out. You've got to just keep feeding the positivity. The negativity is in our program, it's in our subconscious mind, so it's not going to stop sometimes it does stop instantly, and there are many times when we just make this one change and it stops massively. But the majority of them, once we do the work, we have to start, feeding the loving, caring wolf and starve the other one out, because they're equally as powerful as each other. When you're in duality, the light and the dark are equally as powerful as each other. When you get into oneness, there is no dark. It's just all humorous. But you've got to change your belief, and it takes a while to change our belief system. Okay.
All right. Elkie, I think that's how you say it. Hey, Elkie. I'm afraid of not finding my purpose work-wise. What can I do to trust and take the right steps?
Okay. So first of all, afraid of not finding your purpose means you already know your purpose. So inside, you may not know. I'm not saying you know it in actuality. But whenever we say I'm afraid of something, that's because intuitively we know what it is. And you're calling your purpose work-wise. Maybe this is where I feel the mistake is. Your purpose might not be work. Our purpose is, we have multiple purposes. We have many purposes. So, if I tell you my purposes, I'd need a whole hour just to tell you all my purposes. So, maybe your biggest purpose has got nothing to do with work and money. So some people do a certain job, which is another part of their purpose. The money, learning how to deal with finances might be one of your purposes. But healing might be another one, or a great artist might be another one. But you might not make any money out of your real big purpose. But I understand you've got many purposes. So if that is the problem, just start replacing it bit by bit. Don't try and chuck out the baby with the bathwater. Just go, okay, start doing whatever that is inside, whatever that little nagging is inside of you, that gnawing, going, do this. Just start doing it as a hobby. Start studying it. If it's something that's really big, like forensic science or something like that, start reading about it. I started reading about quantum physics. Who does that in their part time? When I was a wharfie, I was like, I read heaps on quantum physics when I was on the wharves, and I was never going to really go to university and study quantum physics, but the amount I've read on quantum physics and all this other stuff and spirituality and well-being and everything over the last 25 years is insane. Most people wouldn't do that much if they did a professorship at university. And most of it I've never been paid for, so, but the money comes in other ways. So just start calling it purposes, and maybe not go for your biggest purpose straight up. Start working towards it, just looking for little things. The fear is there to tell you that it's not true, that you are going to find your purpose. And if you're a healer, I did a lot of this healing work when I was selling cars. I healed people's mentality, the way they saw things when I was selling cars. I used these tools and techniques. I started selling cars like 10 years ago because I had so many kids and I was running out of money. And so, and I found, after 6 months, I was doing this same stuff and talking this same way while I was selling cars. So you don't need to, the two things don't have to look exactly the same.
And, the other question, what can I do to trust and take the right steps? If you take that in a black and white and flip that around, your subconscious, right, is going that you don't do anything right now to trust and take the right steps. So what we would do is just change that a little bit to say, what can I do to trust and take the right steps more and more?
And
so build on it. I'm doing
you've already done it. You just did it. That question there is perfect. That is the perfect question. But ask it inside. As well. You can ask it outside as well, but say to your heart, just put your hand on your heart and your hand on your gut. Your soul, our soul is mainly, in the early days, is mainly in the lower three chakras. Our soul can actually speak out loud from the lower three chakras, which will really spin you out if it happens. The first time it happened to me was when I had a motorbike accident when I was 23, and my soul yelled out as I thought I was dead. It said, not again. And it's like, and this voice came out of my gut as the car hit me head on the motorbike. And I was like lying in hospital for a couple of weeks, going, what was that voice? How did the voice come out of my gut? And I was just mulling over that. And then the voice came back again after about a week in hospital, and it just spoke again and said, not another lifetime where you fucked it up because you've been too scared to do what you want to do. And I was like, what? I didn't believe in anything back then. I was an atheist and, believed in chaos only. And it's like the voice came back. I'm like, how does my gut speak? My head used to speak a lot. How does my gut speak? And it's like, and what do you mean another lifetime? I've been alive before? Really? No way, that can't be. And I didn't no idea about reincarnation or anything back then. And it spoke, and it's like, and it's taken me 20 years to actually hear that voice again more consciously, which I've just done recently in my soul. It speaks from down there. Your soul is on a layer of your aura. Your aura has layers, and the soul is over the whole body, over the whole being. But in the early days, we hear it down in the lower body mainly. It's, they call it the darkness of being. The soul is away from the light, so when the third eye opens, when you come into the light, that's when your soul and everything, and you can actually see with your eyes closed, basically, the world around you. It's really quite mind-blowing as well. But, your soul speaks through these lower emotions and through our feelings, and it needs that expression. So, put your hand on your lower gut. Say, okay, I'm going to listen to you more and more. I'm going to try. I know I'm scared. I know I've been blocking you out, but I'm going to listen. If that's true, let me do it. Say those words. If that's true, let me do it. It's like, this is the most important part, guys. You've got to get genuine.
Yeah.
Any of this stuff, if you're just doing it, you've got to work out how to say it in your words that makes it genuine.
Yeah.
Not that makes you believe it 100%, that makes you do it 100% if it's true.
If it's true.
That's the difference. You can't just believe it 100%. I've seen dozens and dozens of my past lives, and I still don't believe it 100%. I've got too much quantum physics in my head to go, but they're all happening now, and this and that. So they're all happening simultaneously, and this is my life where I'm going to ascend. So, but I've got future lives I've seen. So and I've been in the no time space. So it's a real head fuck. But you can work with it. You can work with it by making it genuine. If that's true, and it feels like it is, it feels like, then show me how to do it. Show me what to do with it. How do I heal that? How do I get past this situation? Ask for the help. All we have to do, the universe will help us. God, infinite intelligence will help us if we identify it. We have free will. We have free will to ignore this shit for hundreds of lives if we want, or we have free will to bring it to the light, as they say. So if we recognize these negatives, we recognize these fears. If there's fear, if there's stress, there's only two things: fear and faith. But fear has 1,000 different faces, and faith has 1,000 different faces. So it's like, stress is fear. Fear doesn't exist in oneness. God didn't create fear. I'm not talking about fight or flight fear. I'm not talking about the fear of falling over. That's a sudden fear. That's a very different thing. I'm talking about generally fear. Stress is a fear. Worry is a fear. All these things are fear. And so we have to get past the fear. They're not true. The fear can only exist in the past and the future. There's no fear in the now. Right now, you don't have any fear. Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Except the person that's just about to be bitten by a tiger or fall off a cliff. They might have it.
Fall off the earth.
And if they're about to get hit by a car, there's a split second of fear, right? But other than that, fear is a creation of man's mind, a creation of duality. And so we pull back from that. It doesn't mean that everything's happy and hunky-dory and fucking roses and shit like that. It just means that, it's neutral. It's like, the crap can be happening and you can still be in joy, It's like, well, fuck, my life's falling apart. Interesting. I just lost all my money at my house and kids. Interesting. That's an interesting sensation I'm going through,
Well, that's still there.
It's like, so it's not like, nothing bad happens. It just means that you just learn how to go with it and turn it around and change it. It's all part of our evolution. It's part of our growth. It's things like that. Okay.
Yes.
Got any more?
Beverly's asking if I'm single. Yes, I'm single.
We're both single. Have been for a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, what do we got?
They keep telling me to respond to this one.
Okay.
So this is Therese. So going back to Therese. Grievance counselling is what my daughter needs but won't get help. What I'm getting guidance to try to say to you is how can you be sure, how can anyone be sure what someone else needs?
Yeah.
Right? What you think that they need is actually maybe what you need. Right? Because what you see on the outside is generally what you need on the inside. Yeah. Maybe not in the same way, but an aspect of it.
Always. It's always the same way. It's the one place I will say fucking always. Always is a filter that we don't usually use that word. But always, whatever we're seeing on the outside, until we're enlightened, until I'm not, and I don't know anyone that is face to face. I know a few beings that I talk to, but I don't know anyone in the physical body that is fully enlightened. And so everything we see is a reflection. So yes, your daughter may need grievance counselling, but so do you. And your grievance counselling, you might not need to go to a counsellor. It might be grievances between your head and your heart. It might be grievances between your emotions and your thoughts. You know, but if you start working on your grievances and your grievances between your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings, maybe that's all your daughter needs.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to change it in you because you picked it up off your mother and off her mother and off her mother and off her mother and off her mother. And these patterns can go back hundreds of generations, you know, and these patterns just play themselves out until somebody breaks the chain.
Yeah.
It's like, so yes, your daughter may need grievance, but I think you do too. And you need, but yours will be in a different area. And grief will play out in the lungs, guys. You know, if you're looking at meridians, grief and smoking, Chinese medicine says grief gets stored on the lungs. So, you know, if we're not breathing deeply can be the best grievous counselling there is. If you learn how to breathe deep, that can release grief. You know, we can if we stop smoking, if we're got habitually smoking. And when I say smoking, when I'm saying any of this stuff, I'm not giving the power away to it. If you enjoy a smoke, fucking go for it. It's like if it makes you happy, but if it's an addiction, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, if you enjoy a drink, if you enjoy anything, right? When it's an addiction, when you have to do it, when you can't go a day without it or a week without it, then you've got a problem. You know, and it's like it's trying to, but the problem is actually the solution. It's trying to show you something. The grief, there's grief on your lungs, there's grief there that's stored there. And don't try and buy into it because sometimes the grief is just compounded life after life. So you try and get all of it out of this life and you can't because you've got 10 lifetimes worth of grief there. This is where you've got to go into the healing and ask for it. If there's grief here that's from a dozen lifetimes, let me heal that, you know, because otherwise you keep trying to fix what you see in this lifetime, which you can't even remember half of it anyway, because our fucking brain dry cleans the past. Anyway, so it filters out some of the good stuff and some of the bad stuff to just prove what it wants to prove. So, but, you know, by the actions, you can see by your actions that there's grief there because you keep pushing it down with the cigarettes or the smoking weed or whatever you do. You keep pushing that grief back down. You know, if you drink alcohol, you've got anger issues on the liver and gallbladder meridian. Anger is what's stored in them. And so, you know, if we keep drinking alcohol, we push it back down, and we stop drinking alcohol, the anger comes up, and it seems to be irrelevant to where we're at. Same as when you stop smoking. If you just stop smoking all of a sudden, I can guarantee you, and you do it properly, and you do it with breathing and genuineness and wanting to be genuine and want to let go, I can guarantee you'll fucking bawl your eyes out for 3 days for reasons you can't even fathom, you know. And some of that's got to do with past lives. So, but you know, if you be genuine about it, say, okay, is this grief? If that's the case, show me how to let go of it. I really want to get rid of this grief, and I don't know how, and I don't even know if it's got to do with this life or it's got to do with past lives as well. So, you know, most of the time I find when I'm doing this work, it's just as much the same situation has come up lifetime after lifetime for people. So they can't just get it from counselling from this life. It can be enough to do it counselling from this life. It can be enough because that just gets you to the point where you want to let go of all of it, and it automatically fixes all the other lives as well. But if you're trying to delve into it too much and trying to understand it all, it doesn't work that way.
Elke's come back with, you know, thank you. She's asked, can you say a bit more about how to get over fear? I feel fear a lot, and I think it goes back to self-esteem, allowing myself to be myself, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it is. You're right on. It is about allowing yourself to be yourself. But fear is false. You know, one of the anagrams is many. False evidence appearing real. So we have all this evidence. We have all this, you know, anecdotal evidence. We have to back up our fears. Oh, if I do this, this will happen. If I do this, this will happen. And that may be true. And you know, if I do this, this person will yell at me. But I'm not scared of being yelled at. If I do this, everyone will leave me. But, you know, if you're thinking everyone will leave you, then you're not scared of being alone. Yeah. So it's like you're actually buying into other people's fear. Most of what you're fearing, I would say, from the way that you've spoken, you haven't got any fear. And this baffles us, right? Our infinite being, our true self, our God self, our oneness being does not have any fear. Just doesn't have it. We don't have it, guys. None of us. Our true self. But our created self, me, John, the personality that I've created, the separate self that's separate from everything, it does create fears, and it's our virtual fears, our virtual reality. We have fears, and now even though so we create fears by thinking about this and that and what will happen. You know, as I said, the only genuine fear is that momentary fear. If you're going to fall off a cliff or get run over by a car, that's a different. That's an instinct fear. and that's in babies when they're born. Right? They'll go to an edge and they'll go to fall. That's it. That's the only genuine fear, and that's just a safety thing. So it's not really fear. It's nothing you think about of that. It's an automatic reaction.
Yeah.
So all the rest we've created as man in duality. Our mind is created by making ourselves separate from the universe, separate from everything. So when we're separate, we can create fear, right and wrong, good and bad. That's separation. In oneness, when we're in our true self, we don't have any fear. But then we buy into other people's because you go, well, I've got no fear. I've got no worries. I've got no thoughts. There must be something wrong with me because everyone else is in fear. So then we start buying into their fears and their worries. And then we just compound that and we think it's real and we create it as real. It's like a virtual reality, you know. It's like you put on VR goggles and it will affect you. When I say these are not real, they're not real in the sense that they're not real. They're not in the real world. But we create them as real. If you put VR goggles on and you look around and you get off balance, you fall over and you hurt yourself, they will affect you in a real way. And they will affect your life in a very real way. But then they're created. We can take the goggles off and say no more. That's the choice. Our choice is to just say, no, I'm not playing with fear anymore. I'm not listening to fear anymore. I'm not doing it. It's like, yep, it's a virtual reality that man's created, but God didn't create it. Man did. We created fear. God didn't create fear.
Yeah.
And so that's our choice. And it's not, I mean, it's as simple as that, but it's not easy because that's going to change everything in your life.
Yeah.
And it's going to change a lot of people around you.
It's what the words "get over fear" keep jumping out at me, and it kind of feels like we have this saying where we talk about previous me, you know, and future me. But in this case, it's like previous me. So maybe it's like things that you've done in the past where, you know, it's come in a certain situation, and maybe that's, you know, you've taken that as affected your self-esteem, or you've taken that as, you know, I'm scared that's going to happen again. You know, like the get over. So maybe it's like the get over part is to just recognize that was a previous version of you that didn't know what you know now.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
those fears,
and with what you know now, those things don't necessarily apply anymore.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
those fears were like genuine for you in the past, and they were more real, but they weren't fears then. They were problems then. You know, we have these problems, and something happens, and we create a problem, and then we create a situation. Then we turn that in the future. We turn that into a fear. It wasn't a fear then. It was a fucking problem.
Yeah.
There was an issue that happened,
Yeah.
and then we turn that into a fear. And the other thing that John's saying with get over it.
Yeah.
Over it is, you know, fear. One of the ways to get over it is to get in
right.
chakras, right? So you're
words
down,
are jumping out at me. They're going, get over it, get over it. Get
so
over it.
getting
What the
over
fuck
it
are you
is
talking about?
in the fear, in the poor me, in the navel chakra, the negative in the navel chakra, which is down below the belly button. That's poor me. That's I can't do this. Oh, I'm such a weakling. To get over it, we go up into the solar plexus. So that's the water emotion. So there's too much water, we drown in emotion. So then we come up to the fire in the solar plexus. That's over above the navel one, and that's where the courage starts. And that's when we can really get the fire burning, because the fire will transform. Fire is positive as long as we don't let it get out of control and start directing that anger out towards everybody else. You can use the anger to bring yourself, to raise yourself up from the solar plexus up to the heart. This is the great leap. When you go from the solar plexus to the heart and you start living from the heart, you can use that anger, you can use that fire to get over the great leap, to come up to the heart. The heart's invincible. When you get into the heart space, it's fucking freaky, right? It's like you get into that heart space genuinely, you pull all that up and you pull all this down and get all of your awareness into this heart chest area. You are stronger than Superman, and you do not give a fuck about it. Right? In a very positive, not giving shit.
Think of the most fierce lion.
You are. That is the lion heart. You know, that's what they call it. And so,
that's what you feel like.
So, but you can use that anger, you can use that fire to bring it up, not to direct it out. You can use it to go, fuck this, enough. I am done. I am done playing with this shit. I'm not playing with these fucking fears anymore. They are just, you can play with it forever. They're a virtual reality. They're like goggles, mate. You can only thing you can do is take the goggles off. You can try and sort it out. You can try and sort it out, but it never will. So yes, getting over it is bringing yourself up to the heart space, bringing the emotions up to there, bringing the thoughts down as well. So bringing the two. This is a threefold flame system that we teach. So the divine masculine and the divine feminine come to the heart, and the true marriage is when our divine masculine, our left and our right, marry in the heart. Then the child, the soul, can rise up to join the family in the heart, and the threefold can become one in God. So they can have the divine family, the divine mother, the divine father, and the divine child in the Holy of Holies, directed by God. That is when as far as I know, true full enlightenment happens. Haven't done it fully myself yet, guys. So,
Yeah.
but you know, I've had glimpses of it and tastes of it, and there's nothing that compares to the feeling of it.
Yeah.
So you know,
So I think you've answered us how to use the anger. Just as John said, you know, when you identify it, don't judge it for starters, right? And just go, okay, no, enough.
that'll bring you up.
Bring it up.
Bring
Just
it up.
talk to it. Talk to the anger. Just
Feel
say,
it.
okay,
It'll be right
go,
here.
just say, come up from the solar plexus. Come
So
up bit by bit by
You'll
bit,
feel
more
it.
and more.
You'll feel it just below the
Talk to it.
just below the sternum there. In that little area there, it's the fire. Think of it as fire and go, okay, burn off this shit, burn off the fear. Let it burn up and let it burn up in the air. The air element is in the heart. Let it come up. Let it come up into the heart, and just let it come up slowly. Go, okay, enough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put up with it. I'm not gonna direct it at anybody else.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fucking put up with their shit. And it's like, no, I don't care. Fucking just look at it internally. Look at it, say, okay, let it burn. Let it burn away all the bullshit. Let it burn away all the excess. You know, so the bushfires, they're talking about it now with the Aboriginals, you know. It's supposed to burn away all the excess so the proper stuff can grow again. So don't be afraid when the fire comes. Don't be afraid when the anger comes. It's going to get rid of the shit that you can't see, that you can't identify, that you don't know, all the introduced species, all the fucking stuff that's stopping the native natural you from growing. You know, Australia is the perfect place for that.
And you know, the way in which we've just spoken, as we're saying, you know, enough.
Yeah.
Don't confuse that with anger.
Yeah.
Right. That's being forceful.
Yeah.
Okay? You're being purposeful with it. You're just going, okay.
It starts with anger,
Yeah.
but it's not anger.
But
It's-
bring it
as
up.
as it continues, it's not anger.
Yeah.
Just the anger is the spark.
Yeah.
And then you say enough, and you go, okay, fuck this shit. Whatever
Yeah.
your words are. I'm sorry if that's a harsh language for some, but
Yeah.
you do it no more. I'm fucking not playing
Done.
this game
I'm
anymore.
enough. You know, enough. I've had enough.
It's like, okay, show me how to bring it up. Bring it up. Bring it up to the heart. Bring it up to the heart. My heart will show me. Bring that fire up. Let it burn away. Because the only thing that can come up to the true heart, to the heart of hearts, is the truth. The only thing that can get into the heart of hearts is the truth. None of the false stuff, none of the fake duality stuff can go there. It just can't. It's impossible. And so that's where we get the fear. The things that are dropping off, we think that they're us. We think that that's our identity or our who we are or this and that. You know, who you are as an infinite being, as a God, is invincible. Your body might not be, but you, the soul, you, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that's invincible. You know, and so therefore you can't really have fear unless you buy into it. Could an infinite being, think of it, you're infinite, could it be scared? It can't. So why the fuck are you?
Yeah.
You know, could an infinite divinity being have any worry unless he wanted to? You know, as an infinite being, you can do anything. So you can be scared if you want to. You can pretend to be scared. You can pretend to be worried. You can worry, but could it truly be worried if it didn't want to? Would an infinite being, or could an infinite being be scared if he didn't want to? Could an infinite being be worried if he didn't want to? No. Then that's where you have to get to.
And you know, for me, like when I first started doing that, when John was teaching me to do that, I had this real kind of struggle with that being that purposefulness, right? I was just thinking, I don't like being angry, you know. I don't want to be angry. I can't raise my voice like I'm a fucking pussy, right?
I don't want to be angry because I'm angry all the
Because
time.
I'm angry all the time. I don't want to be angry, right?
I'm angry
So
'cause I'm angry
I sort of flip that
24/7.
around and just say, okay, I know it's there. I don't know how to fucking deal with it. You know, there's obviously something that I can't understand. You know, maybe it's past life, maybe it was whatever. Just fucking show me. God, just show me.
Yeah.
I want to bring this up to the heart. I want to deal with it. Show me how.
If the God work, if God work doesn't work,
Yeah.
I couldn't use that one for 15 years. So, but infinite intelligence. So there's two, and we'll end on this note, guys.
Yeah.
There's only two. There's two teams in the world, right? There's when it comes down to science, there's two teams. When it comes down to everything, really, there's either creationists or there's randomists. So even science breaks into two fields. One is that life is created; it was deliberate somehow. We don't know how. The other one is that life is all random. It's chaos and random, and it's just so you won't be on here if you believe it's random. You could be pretending it's random or flipping back and forward, but there's part of you, the inner part, that says this world was created on purpose somehow, some fucking how, and that's the thing I'm talking to. The intelligence that created all this, there must be. You know, look at the human, look at what we go through. I was a randomist for the first 22 years of my life, or from 10 years upwards. And
He's still a random.
Chaos theory was my favourite thing, but it just doesn't make any sense. And once you've been around for a while, it's like there's too much stuff here. We can't look at our science. We can't even fucking begin to fathom the human eye. You know, this life is on purpose somehow. So, you know, whatever that intelligence is that created all this, and when I say God, I'm not talking about a man. I'm talking about infinite intelligence. This is beyond anything my mind can comprehend. So talk to that infinite intelligence, and say, okay, show me, guide me. You know, like you do the planets. It keeps the planets in place. It keeps nature, keeps the world going. No matter how much we try and fucking tear the world apart, it keeps growing and keeps getting better, you know. So, you know, if it can do all that and it can keep the planets in place, maybe it can sort my life out if I let go, you know. On that note, guys.
All right, guys.
Check out our YouTube.
Yep.
If you want any personal readings, we do them. The links are all up the
Links
top
up the
there.
top.
See you next week. Thank
See
you
you
very
guys.
much.
Bye.
Bye.